Now we will look at what the second responsibility councils have in regards to the budget, which is ensuring that all resources help students reach achievement goals. So if we go back to our original chart of the three, you will see the second responsibility there. And so the second responsibility, like I said, use all of the school's resources, such as allocated funds that are given to the school, allocated staff, and allocated time to help reach student achievement goals. So as I said previously, we should always be thinking as council members, how can we use this money that has been given to us to help our students achieve? And so that comes when you're thinking of which textbooks should we purchase, what instructional materials would be helpful, what are our test scores saying currently, and what can we do to increase those test scores? Is there other staff that we need to, employ to help our students as well? So there's multiple forms of resources that schools will have access to, such as money, personnel, and time. And so all of those things together can help to enhance that student achievement. So when you're discussing the use of these resources, the discussion should be based on a needs assessment, and the school council should take into consideration this year's students. So you always want to look at that needs assessment that's part of that CSIP to see what needs the school has, and that could be academically, that could be environmentally, maybe some of the resources at the school are out of date, and that sort of thing. So it doesn't always have to be academically. It could also be material things in the schools that may need updated in order to help the students achieve. So when you're discussing personnel, the conversation should focus on programs and not a particular teacher. So you may hear the saying spaces, not faces, when discussing programs and not people during your term on council. So when you're on council, you will never mention students' names, teachers' names. You will only talk about the spaces that they are affecting. So you want to make sure that all of our budget conversations are focusing on the programs and not particular teachers. So with that in mind, the council is going to be tasked with considering budget ideas and requests and then making the necessary decision on whether such expenditures would directly impact student achievement, which would make it allowable. So you may get a lot of different requests, and so as a council, you'll be tasked with determining whether or not that would be an allowable expense because it will help students achieve. So you're going to see several examples of scenarios that could happen, or similar scenarios that could happen during your term on council. And you're going to read that scenario and then list in the box under that scenario. You're going to type out some questions that you would ask of that person that's requesting that money when you're arriving at your conclusion to either approve or deny that request. So let me give you an example. Here's a scenario. So the library media specialist would like to purchase a set of books that will appeal specifically to middle school males. She is responding to teacher requests and school data that suggests the need for more reading materials targeted for male students. And so she needs about $1,200 for those books. So as a council, as you're reading over this request and thinking about whether this request is allowable, whether it would be something that would be a wise decision to help students achieve, these are some examples of some questions that you may ask. So what month is this? That may make a difference depending on whether or not there's going to be a lot of other funds that are going to need to be spent. Is it in her budget? And then what data was reviewed? Was it just one set of data? Was it multiple sources of data? Was it reliable data? Is it current data? So those are all kinds of things that you would want to ask before approving this request to see if it would be a wise decision. So like I said, you will read the different scenarios related to budget requests, And then come up with similar questions like this that would relate to that scenario on whether or not this expense would be a wise choice. And some of these questions that you see right here could be some of the same questions that you may ask in the other scenarios as well. So you will type out those questions, and then we will go over the answers once you're completed with that activity. You can click on the next video for the answers to those scenarios.